Juice is actually so common.
But beyond that, PSSD is not just a loss of sexual function, but a loss for some people of emotional function as well. That has been the case for me. Before this, I was a super emotional, empathetic, loving, caring, like Sylvia Plath reading and resonating girl. And the day I woke up with this injury, I quite literally felt my soul leave my body. Like, I'm so serious. It was the most unbelievable, inorganic thing I've ever experienced, and it's a common symptom of people who have this condition.
I've probably talked to nearly 50 people with PSSD in my career, and I can tell you this is the part of it that they hate the most. It's not actually the sexual dysfunction. It's the fact that they feel like they're moving through life with no soul. They feel blunted. They feel no joy. There's no tingling at the back of their neck when they hear their favorite song from childhood. There's no warmth when they hug their children or people that they love. And if you're a millennial like me, I liken it to like the Dementor's kiss in the Harry Potter franchise, where you essentially lose your soul and you feel nothing. This is the worst part of it that so many people hate.
To this day, it's been years for me. I'm 23 now. I can't feel love from my own mother, which is the hardest thing on earth. I can't feel connection or love for my friends, or even pleasure in music, which was the bane of my existence. I was a songwriter since I was a child. It was my outlet. And it's been completely neurologically severed from these medications.
It's like having a chemical lobotomy.
And I just like to say there's a reason that, you know, every song on the radio, every movie on your television, every piece of art since the beginning of humanity centers on sex and love. And not just romantic love, but platonic, familial love. And that is because these are the most central, intoxicating, worthwhile, and fulfilling parts of the human experience. These aren't luxuries. And to remove someone's ability to participate, not just physically through sex, which is completely horrific on its own, but to remove someone's ability to emotionally connect with another human being is a crime against humanity. And I say crime against humanity because there is evidence that Eli Lilly, who created the first SSRI Prozac, knew their drugs could cause permanent sexual dysfunction and emotional numbness in children especially. And they withheld this from the public because they knew it would be a threat to the bottom line.
They did for a long time, and then they snuck it into the drug label, and that's what you saw earlier on. They didn't tell doctors, they didn't make a big thing about it, they snuck it in there to protect themselves from liability.
I mean, I hope I'm not the only one who believes that there's nothing more criminal or dystopian to withhold from patients and parents of patients that your medication can permanently chemically castrate and emotionally numb its user for the rest of their life.
And this is true. No one is told about this when they get put on these medications. They're told, oh, it causes a little bit of nausea, maybe you'll feel a bit more activated, it goes away, but these are some of the safest and most well-studied drugs out there. And that's why the number of young people taking these drugs, teenagers, has doubled in the last 20 years.
PSSD is not on the drug label. It's not even in the fine print. I quite literally had no way of knowing that this is possible or that this could happen to me.
It is in the drug label for Prozac, but not the other SSRIs. However, that's not true. In other areas of the world, it is on the label. In the second largest economic area in the world, which is the EU, this is in the warnings and precautions of all of the SSRIs and SNRI medications. It's on all of the labels in Australia, all of the labels in Canada, and Hong Kong. This is currently what all of the drug labels in the EU say.
The FDA actually received a citizen's petition from sufferers in 2018, begging the risk be added to the label, and it was completely ignored. I took Zoloft in 2022. If this correction was made, I would have had full informed consent, I could have chosen an alternative, I would have been spared from the most inorganic, inhumane suffering I could have never imagined. I mean, we think these parts of us are immutable, and I'd argue that they are, but when you introduce a chemical agent so, perverse, these things that are so central are able to be removed, and it's horrific, but...
So I used to work at the...
Take your passion for food and turn it into a career as a Navy culinary specialist. Learn more at Navy.com/careers-that-cook. America's Navy, forged by the sea.
At the FDA, and I can tell you this is an abomination that this went in 2018, and the FDA still hasn't responded to this. Just so you know, when a drug company gives you a full dossier of animal studies, phase 1 studies, phase 3 studies, it's massive. You have to reply to that within 9 months and give them a yes or no. This went in over 8 years ago, nearly, and they still haven't responded to this. FDA is asleep at the wheel. They do not care about patients. They're just putting this on the back burner because it's really uncomfortable for psychiatrists to confront this side effect.
What makes PSSD so torturous is that we've been blindsided, betrayed, and maimed by the industry that we were told and instructed to trust, and we trusted fully given we took these medications.
What I see happen to a lot of people who develop this is they then get gaslit by the doctors. They start telling them that they're paranoid or they have delusional problems, and sometimes they even pressure them to take antipsychotics because they say there's no way this can happen. It's like waking up in a horror movie. That's how bad this is.
And now we've been offered no way back to our lives or humanities. I'd like to add, I think it's pretty clear I don't want to be here. I hope it's not surprising that I feel so deeply humiliated and dehumanized to share to a group of strangers in the press and inevitably the internet that I've quite literally, I'm like sexually defunct and emotionally lobotomized, which is the antithesis of who I was before this. I'm a senior in college at Vanderbilt. I go back in the fall. I'd rather my peers not know this about me, but this is what the situation requires. People with PSSD, everyone on the stage has had to forgo their dignities, their privacy, to be able to fight for recognition so that we might be able to find the help we need to regain our lives and humanities.
And isn't that disappointing? Because the FDA and other drug regulators should be the ones doing this. We shouldn't have to have people like Lauren Friedman getting on stage down in Washington, D.C., talking to Bobby Kennedy to advocate that this condition is added to all of the labels and that there's a Dear Doctor letter that goes out there and tells all of the family medicine doctors that this is a serious problem and they need to talk to patients about this. There's people like Lauren out there. There's also people here on the PSSD network who are